Recurring charges within rent management. When we look at recurring charges, these are charges that happen every single month consistently without having to be remembered to be entered. So for instance, these include your rent charges, these include damage waivers, these include anything down to utility charge, something that is consistently charged every single month. That is the time you would set up a recurring charge manager, and we click on our tenant profile and we go to our individual properties and we click on the tenant that we're looking for. You will see that they have a recurring charges tab. So if we click on Nando here, they're moving in today, August 18th. We click on recurring charges, we see that they don't have any. So what you would do is you would go down to the bottom down here, you would hit add. We're going to add a rent charge, RC, and it's going to be for the market rate of $7.95 for a 1 bed. We are not going to include a from date because this is a first time charge and it will automatically know to charge it on the 1st. We're going to hit save. And now next month going forward for the month of September, Jane will automatically be charged the market rate of $7.95 rent going forward. Whenever we go over to transactions, we see where she's paid her deposit and her application fee, but she needs to pay her prorated rent to move in today. We're going to include the prorated rent on the transaction screen because it is a one-time transaction. It is not a recurring charge. It's not something that's going to happen over and over again, such as the typical market rate. So that is why we do not include one-time transactions on the recurring charges or put recurring charges under the transactions because transactions is meant for one-time charge. So when we go down here and we hit the button add, we're going to hit rent charge the same way. Today is the 18th. We're going to pay a prorated rent to move in today, and our prorated rent is $3.50. And this is the prorate for August. We're going to save that. We all know that when moving a new tenant in, they cannot move in for less than half the rent. So because $3.59 is less than half of the full market rent of $7.95, she will need to pay the $3.59 prorate for August plus September's rent of $7.95 today at move-in. And that's going to leave her owing a total of $11.54. So she knew that and she brought in the money order for $11.54. We're going to go ahead and take that payment. And you'll notice it's asking about pay allocations, which we never do. We never allocate our money. We're going to do not allocate. We're no longer showing that she owes anything, but she now has a credit of $7.95. And that is exactly what you want to see when you're moving somebody in and they're paying the next month's rent in advance. You will never have a time where you would charge the tenant the next month prior to the 1st. You would just let them have that credit and it would get used up by the next month's recurring charge whenever it hits on the 1st. So as of September the 1st, it would then eat that $7.95 and her account would be at zero. Whenever we look at recurring charges and lease renewals, we're going to flip over here to John Smith. For John, his lease is ending August 31st of 2025. So whenever we're doing his lease renewals, we would come down here and we would go add. We would do a rent charge, and the market rate for a 1-bedroom is going to be $8.95. And this is whenever we're going to put a from date, and that is because on lease renewals that you set up, you need to start the charge for the 1st. You'd want to make sure that there are no gaps in time between the end of one charge and the beginning of a new charge. So for instance, this is going to start the first day that their lease ends on 9/1/2025. We're going to go down here and we're going to notate this as month to month unless lease signed. That way we know that the reason that we're paying this higher rent is because you failed to sign a lease. We're also going to go in here and we're going to add on another damage waiver for $14. Same thing, we're going to date it for September 1st, 2025. We're going to hit save. Now, because we have added new charges, you may now end the old charges. You always want to make sure that you start the new charges before ending the old ones because we don't want to make the mistake of not charging the tenant or not charging them enough. There's a good chance that a mistake will go on without the resident informing you if you're undercharging them, but if you double charge them or charge them too much, the resident will for sure come and let you know. So now that we've added on these initial charges with the start date, we can click on the end date, which will be for 31, 2025. And you would do that for both of these. Just like that. So now these two charges are ending on August 31st, and these are starting immediately on September 1st. All the dates in this column should always be for the end of the month. These should always be for the beginning of the month. You want to make sure that there are no gaps in the time between the end of one charge and the beginning of a new charge. And you always want to make sure, again, that you're notating in the memo what this is for. Let's say that some time goes by, John Smith decides that he does, in fact, want to, renew his lease, and he's going to stay at the same market rate of $7.95. You would then click back on here. You would change this to $7.95. You would just delete out the comments. You would leave his damage waiver the same. You would not change the dates, but you would come over here. And you would then change these to reflect the new dates. And that way next year, he'll pop right back up on your lease renewals.